think. Okay, don't want to exaggerate. Hey, we were talking to Justin yesterday, and we were talking about paying back LSU and Alabama, or I guess it was Alabama and LSU in that order. And he said that the scouting report cover had like Revenge Tour on it, or and well, it lasted the Revenge Tour, something like that. I was wondering if you could be a little more specific about that. Maybe who's it's obviously a good idea. I was just wondering whose idea it was, and just kind of the theme of all that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know he was going to narc us out about what we were doing. Um, I mean, we try to come up with a theme, Bob, for, maybe sometimes it's a week, what we have, coming up for the week, or it could be a particular game theme, or it could be a particular practice theme. But yeah, we kind of dubbed these, two games as a revenge tour or revenge week. Spliced in a couple movie clips on stuff that would have to do with that. And, we had a hype video, one of the games of, all the headlines when we got, beat in Tuscaloosa. And then we followed it up with what we wanted the headlines to be after the game. They seemed to like it, I guess.
Well, do you remember what movie clips you spliced in?
Some of them were from Cobra Kai.
Okay, I'll have to Google that or something. I'm not that smart for that.
Bob, you need to watch it. It's a good, friendly. It's a takeoff of Karate Kid. I highly recommend it. My family and I have watched every episode. When I see a good phrase, I tell Danielle to pause it, rewind it. I get it on my phone. I get it to Hayes Myers, and then he splices it into a video clip.
Okay, well, that sounds like a good assembly line process. And then, looking at South Carolina, you guys obviously were supposed to play them in Nashville. It's been almost a year. I guess it would have been March 12th, I think, was the day the game was supposed to be played. Looking back on it, what do you remember about that? And does playing this game kind of bring back some of those memories? And I know you said at the time, or told the guys in the video we saw, you felt like if you and Anthony had kind of crunched the numbers and felt like if you guys beat South Carolina, you had a pretty good shot to get an NCAA bid.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we went through it. It was a quick prep because we played a late game, got ready that night, and but I'm not sure there's much significance other than the fact that that would have been our last game last year, and now that's our last regular season game actually before the makeup game on Saturday against Texas A&M. So. But they have a lot of the same players. I will say that, Bob. There's a lot of the same guys when you look at number 5, Cousinard, and 00 Lawson, and 24 Bryant, and Mania, number 10. There's a lot of guys, Hannibal, number 12, a lot of guys we were worried about last year that are back. So, and they're physical and they high volume steel team, and we got to be strong with the ball, and they present, in my opinion, they present a lot of problems. Again, just when I looked at their depth chart, because we got ready for them a little bit last year, for the tournament setting and then the one regular season game, but I mean, they got as many guys back as anyone we've played this year. Like, I'm as familiar with their roster. Normally when we end a game and then go into the next prep, it takes me a long time to catch up on, maybe their top 7 or whatever. I mean, this was a team that I kind of knew some of their personnel. Obviously, I got to get better at understanding tendencies and stuff as we've just started to dive into our prep work. But they got a lot of guys back. That's a long-winded answer, Bob.
They'd lost 6 in a row, but they'd had a real good win at Florida. And then they had a good win yesterday at Georgia, because Georgia's played pretty well at home. Kind of what do you make of South Carolina? Their record isn't very good, but they seem like a dangerous team.
Yeah, no, they're really dangerous. They play hard. I mean, I think some programs right now, it's hard to judge their record if there's been pauses and stuff like that, and missed games. I look at this team as, like I said, I mean, Manaya's a guy that we were worried about last year. Bryant, we were worried about last year. Cousinard, we were worried about last year. Everybody that plays South Carolina is worried about Lawson. Levesque inside, number 15, is a big, strong body that can rebound. So, again, I mean, Hannibal's had really big games, number 12 as well. And Moss has played, at the guard spot for him and had some good games. He's a player that we did not see last year, but I think they're a really good team.
Okay, I got
and really well coached.
Yeah, I got a couple more. I'll turn it back to Mike. Thanks, Eric.
Scotty.
Hey, Coach, I asked you on Friday about Justin and Jalen playing well together, but I wasn't, I guess, real clear about which Jalen. I meant Justin and Jalen Williams. So, I mean, what jumps out to you about those two guys when they share the front court?
Both willing passers on offense, both understand spacing, both really, really unselfish, both underrated perimeter shooters, and then just their physicality defensively, their ability to guard multiple positions. Jalen Williams is a high volume, take a charge player. And then Justin is the guy that is willing and able to guard perimeters as well as guys that want to bang inside, and they're both great defensive rebounders.
You see a pretty good chemistry with those two, especially on the defensive end?
Yeah, I think both sides of the ball, Scotty, those two guys have done a really good job of playing with each other, playing off of each other. It's been interesting the last, 2 weeks. We've kind of posted up both of them a little bit more than we did earlier in the year. And those guys are playing with their back to the basket, with some new post-up plays that maybe we didn't utilize earlier in the year.
Nate.
Just you feel that South Carolina's victory over Georgia should get your team's attention, since Georgia just waxed LSU, prior to your game.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Nate, that our team has done a great job of respecting our opponents each night. Certainly, because of how we had played, and there was past history in some of these games that we've played of late, meaning Missouri and Alabama and LSU, that they understood. But I think once we start diving into film today, I think that there'll be a great understanding and great respect for South Carolina, and certainly, the game yesterday against Georgia should grab everybody's attention, how well they played and scoring 90 plus points. And so I think it's, for sure, it's a dangerous game. It's, I'm not crazy about the Saturday, Tuesday. I prefer the Saturday, Wednesday personally from a prep standpoint.
Thank you.
Curtis.
You mentioned South Carolina being well coached. I watched their post-game press conference last night, and a couple times it was said that Georgia game was about as close as they've looked to playing the Frank Martin style of basketball as they have been all year. When you hear that, what does that tell you that you need to be prepared for on Tuesday?
We have to be strong with the ball. That's number one, Curtis. There, I mentioned a high steal team, and there's going to be hands on you, and they're swiping at the ball, and they're going to be physical, and you've got to finish through contact. And, it's not usually a finesse game when you play South Carolina. It's a toughness game, and they are well coached. They do play really hard, and they are physical.
And you mentioned how they have so many returners back this year, and looks like Lawson and Bryant are two guys in particular that have taken a pretty sizable jump in their production. What have you seen in them so far this year?
Yeah, Bryant's a great attacker. In transition, he has forceful dunks. Lawson's a guy that can really knock down the three ball, but because of his length, he can also score around the rim. Both those guys, at that 2-3 spot, they're really good players together as a tandem as well.
Yeah, Coach, I know basketball coaches are always looking for their team to play that perfect game, that perfect possession. Sometimes that's hard to come by. Is there something that you want to see your team improve on this week before you get to Nashville, some area or something within the game?
I mean, I think every team in basketball, Trey, if I was on the phone today with one of my buddies who's on the Clippers staff, and everybody wants to get better in pick and roll defense. Like, I think that's worldwide, whether it's a team playing in the Russian Pro League or, Barcelona play, it doesn't matter. Like, we all are always trying to get better in pick and roll. I think we've changed how we play pick and roll about 3.5 weeks ago. I think that's really helped us, but there's still some holes that we want to try to get better at in that. I thought that, our ability defensively, what JD Note did on the ball in the backcourt is something that I've kind of stressed to guys, not to have your arms out like an airplane, but to try to jab and stab at the ball a little bit more. And JD that was the most aggressive defense that he has played. So I think those are some of the things, Trey. And then I think everybody always wants to get better from an offensive execution. Some teams have a small playbook. We have a larger playbook, and we constantly alter that thing. So we'll keep adding plays before we get to the SEC tournament as well. So, this week there'll be offensive sets added, and then the following week when we have more time, I think we'll add even more things. And we try to run, the first play of every game is a play that nobody has ever seen before. So we try to open a play with a new play that's not in our playbook. And it's funny because when the other team starts yelling what we're trying to do, those are like, I don't know. Those are the ones that you sit there and go, well, I don't know how you know what we're doing because we've never run this play before. So, but anyway, that's always an interesting side note.
Kyle.
Hey, Coach, how much of a premium do you put on wins, regular season wins, once you turn the calendar to March? Like, in other words, in your experience as a college coach, how important is it to stay hot going to Nashville and then Indianapolis as opposed to maybe coming off a loss?
Yeah, Kyle, I don't put much premium at all into the hot, the cold. We're going to go to South Carolina. That's that game, win, lose, is not going to have an effect on what happens at home against Texas A&M. And the Texas A&M game, I don't believe is going to have any effect on the SEC tournament. And certainly, like our LSU game is not going to have an effect on what happens in South Carolina. But I do think when a team wins, your chemistry improves. The players believing in each other, the players believing in game plans. I think all those things, improve with winning. I mean, I think January is the only month that we lost, games. I don't think we lost in November. I don't think we lost in December. So I think your practices become maybe a little bit funner and a little bit more energetic when you're winning. So I think all those things, help. But we've had a really good regular season. We'd like to continue to play as good as we can for these next two games. And then what I call the second season begins, meaning SEC play. And then after that SEC tournament's over, the third season will be, whatever postseason we're fortunate enough to play in.
Bob, follow up, please.
Eric, is the quick turnaround even tougher when you got to go on the road?
I think so, but everybody has to do it, Bob. But yeah, I mean, I think it is a little, because I tend to go lighter and shorter when we have to fly. Probably about 25-minute shorter practices any time that we get on an airplane. So that does. We don't shoot at home when we travel. We will shoot when we land. So that's kind of how I cut out 25 minutes of practice, and then they'll shoot on their own once we get into the opposing team's gym, and on the road, we are able to do more film sessions though, just quick hitting, 5 to 7 minute, because we're together more, we're eating dinner and breakfast, so you're just with the team more than you would be at home.
And then Cuisinart, hope I'm saying his name right. I think he's averaging around 10 points, but he had like 27 at Georgia. What do you see from him? And I guess you worry about a guy, going off like that, even though
Yeah, I think Cuisinart, Hannibal, Lawson, Bryant. I mean, they got a lot of guys that can have big nights. And Cuisinart last year I thought was one of the better guards in the league. He's strong and he can score the ball, he can attack the rim off dribble drives, and Lawson, like I said, stretches the floor and opens up driving lanes for some of his teammates as well. And they they're great crashing the offensive boards. Phenomenal offensive rebounding team.
and maybe, I don't know, it's maybe kind of a big picture question, but so much has happened since you guys were supposed to have played South Carolina and Nashville. I mean, when you think about all the uncertainty and then being able to have a season and having the success you guys are having, and I guess just kind of what do you think about everything everybody's been through? And then you look at South Carolina, Frank Martin's had COVID twice, I think, and thankfully he's recovered and been okay. But just kind of what do you think about everything that everybody's been through since that time, and especially, like, say, Frank Martin getting sick twice,
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, everybody, this morning I was on the phone with Phil Nevin before the Yankees play the Blue Jays, and I was kind of hearing what, even what Major League Baseball is going through down in spring training with the COVID stuff. Like, they're not allowed to go to restaurants. And, so this is, it's just kind of the world we're in. And it's not just us as college coaches. It's at every level. And it's unfortunate that Coach Martin has, gotten it twice, but it's also great that, that he seems to be, healthy. And, the same thing I told our team, yesterday, like, we're still in a pandemic. I think sometimes of late, people can forget that. A guy like Mike Kaywood has not forgot it. As you can see, he's wearing a mask right now, which is important for our guys to continue to understand the importance, especially now, of trying to stay as healthy as we can.
And like I say, just does it just seem like a really long time ago you were supposed to play that game, or in perspective?
Yeah, I think it does. It seems like 4 years ago, to be honest with you.
Okay, I think I'm good. Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.